Tonight at 6, still no verdict, only questions from jury members deliberating the fate of former school resource officer Scot Peterson. Good evening, everyone. I'm Elliot Rodriguez.
And I'm Lauren Pastrana. During their first full day of deliberations, jurors had a couple of questions for the judge this morning and another one this afternoon.
Now, the judge sent them home for the night just a short time ago. CBS News Miami's Joe Murray has more from the Broward County Courthouse.
I'm going to give you the same instructions, the same admonitions that we did last night at 6 o'clock, which is we're going to pause the deliberations at this point.
So the jury goes home another day. No verdict in the Scot Peterson case. The former deputy and school resource officer is on trial for child neglect and culpable negligence for not confronting the Parkland mass shooter 5 years ago. Before they broke, the jury had a few questions, including this one.
The jury would like to request the disk password to review state's evidence E-5, a red hard drive which has password protection.
That hard drive has 6 hours of surveillance in and outside of the 1200 building where the mass shooting happened.
As a defense lawyer, we tell you that questions are eyes into the soul of the jury, or a window, because they ask questions, we know where they're leaning, where they're going. Questions tend to be, but not always, in favor of the defense.
Veteran criminal defense attorney Eric Schwartzreich says this case has caused a lot of debate in law enforcement circles.
Mixed. Our men and women that wear the blue or that protect us in our community, they're very brave. They sign up, they take their badges, they go down dark alleys that you and I, Joan, or most of us wouldn't go. And they want to, they're law enforcement officers, but some of them are scared too. Like, well, what do I do? How to respond? If I act or if I don't act, would I get prosecuted?
So the jury will resume deliberations on Wednesday morning. They have a lot to go through if they are going to review all 6 hours of that surveillance video. At the Broward Courthouse in Fort Lauderdale, Joan Murray, CBS News, Miami.
And joining us now to talk more about day one of deliberations in the Scot Peterson trial is former Broward Assistant State Attorney Maria Schneider. Maria, thank you so much for being with us.
And Maria, our viewers might remember you and the insight you offered during the Parkland shooters trial. Now we have Scot Peterson's fate in the hands of a jury. And this is a first of its kind case against a law enforcement officer accused of inaction in a school shooting. And there's the complicated question of whether he was a caregiver for those kids. Does that tell you this will be a long deliberation?
I think it's already been a long deliberation. The issues themselves are not complicated. He either went in or he didn't. It's all these surrounding factors that I think the jury is struggling with. And school administrators are considered to be, to some extent, in the shoes of the parent. That's an established theory of law. School resource officers, in particular, when they are assigned, permanently assigned to a school, are considered to come under the ambit of school administrators. In other areas of law, they're allowed to search students based on reasonable suspicion, not probable cause, which is something that's extended because of that caretaking role. So there is some precedent for a school resource officer, in particular, being treated as a caregiver. But it is a novel theory of law.
And Maria, the defense called up several witnesses who testified to the fact of what we have heard Peterson say really all along, that they didn't know exactly where the shots were coming from during the time of the shooting. But Peterson himself did not actually take the stand in his own defense. Did that surprise you?
It did not surprise me. It would have been very difficult for him to be able to excuse or justify his behavior. And he would run the risk that anything he said would have offended a particular juror and perhaps be taken the wrong way. The safest thing is to say nothing at all. Yes, he may not have known if the shots were coming from inside the building or not coming in from inside the building. But then if you weren't sure that they were coming from inside the building, why not go up to the door? Why not open the door? Why not listen to see, once you open the door, if you could get a better read of where those shots were coming from? Those are all things that he would have had to have explained. The prosecutors, I am sure, had a whole series of very poignant questions for him. And by not asking them, by not taking the witness stand, he precluded the possibility of them asking them.
Well, are the questions that they're asking the judge giving you any hint of which way this jury may be leaning at this point, Maria?
You know, we all play that game, and there's, some people like to say that it's usually jury questions are to the benefit of the accused. I'm not sure that that's so. It's certainly not my experience in the many cases, the many trials that I've had. And one of the things that we do is we drive ourselves nuts trying to figure out what the jury is asking. I think the fact that they're reviewing state's evidence tends to show that they wanted to see something there. And the state certainly didn't produce that evidence, without purpose. So that says that at least they're considering what the state says. But it's very, very difficult to read anything. I've had jurors afterwards who have chosen to speak to me, and they have provided rationales that honestly I would never have come up with. So it's all a guessing game.
All right, Maria Schneider, thank you as always for your insight, ongoing insight in this case. And of course, you can keep it here as we stay on top of jury deliberations in the Scot Peterson trial when they resume in the morning. When there's a verdict, you can count on us to bring it to you live.